All right. All right, everybody. Y'all know what time it is. This is a big deal. You know, I got the big homie with me. This guy here, man, Hall of Famer. Not only just a football player, one of the best human beings you can know, man. It's my homie, Terrell Owens. How you doing, T.O.?
What up, man? Yeah, let them know it's Terrell Owens, man.
Terrell.
Everybody keep calling me Terrell. Let them know what it is.
You know what it is, right? It's a Texas thing, though. It's a Texas thing.
No, it's a media thing. They did me wrong.
Yeah, but man, I tell people this all the time. I remember when you first came to Dallas, and I had first started doing media work, and like I really didn't have a rapport with any players or anything. And I remember one of the guys had told me, he was like, "Man, you should probably try to sit with T.O. to talk, man." And I remember I went up to you, we talked sneakers, man. It was crazy. Like we instantly became really cool with each other, and I kept it real. You know how I always do, man. And I always want to tell you, man, I appreciate that.
Yeah. No, it's always been the same with me, been a mutual respect. And obviously, you working with the media, I know what it's like. You know what I mean? Obviously I felt like you're up and coming, just trying to get your feet wet, trying to do your thing. And so, I'm always gonna be respectful. That I've always been that way. So it's nothing out of the ordinary. Just me being me, man. So yeah, so I appreciate you having me on the show today. And yeah, I mean, I ain't got nothing else to do, but I already told you I was gonna do it anyway. But
Yeah.
what better other time to do it than right now? Everybody's sitting around doing nothing, creating a lot of videos, being very very creative during this rough time we're having. So yeah, everybody TikToking. Everybody got all the quarantine memes, videos. My brother, he clowning on Instagram,
All that.
doing all types of stuff. But other than that, man, I'm chilling, man.
Man, so I gotta ask you then. So with you being like, well, we all pretty much are quarantined at this point. How are you able to go work out and stuff? I mean, I'm pretty sure you work out at home, but how are you able to keep that up?
Oh man, I just been chilling. I haven't really been doing any workout, but I got some dumbbells and stuff in my living room, and got it's so funny. I had already went out to Target some months ago and got some stuff just to kind of just have around the house to work out anyway. So it was almost like God was kind of preparing me for this anyway. So I went out and got some Bosu balls. I got some cones and stuff, just to kind of run around in the summer because I'm here in Florida. My son go to schools at FAU,
Yeah.
but obviously FAU they've suspended all their workouts and just like everything else has been shut down. But yeah, I got some dumbbells in there, man. So whenever I feel the need to start working out or doing something, um, I have access to it. But other than that, right now, this guy right here, I'm straight cold chilling.
Man, man. So when you look at your son and see him as an athlete and everything, how does that work for you? Because I know like you don't want to be too tough on him, and I know you put the grind in. So how does that work for you?
It's a situation that, again, like I said, I've been trying to, navigate through because, having a kid and, then they realize who you are as a parent. Obviously, he has access to the computer to kind of, look up highlights and things of that nature of what I did. Obviously, he was a little younger, but he didn't really get to, be there, around like when I was really, really balling out. But he hears from cats and he knows, the career that I've had. He's attended pretty much every Hall of Fame situation that I've had. I mean, he went to the Hall of Fame, my Hall of Fame ceremony in Chattanooga that I had. He came to the Hall of Fame, San Francisco Hall of Fame ceremony last November. The ring ceremony in November, and then I just had recently, what was it? The San Francisco Hall of Fame ceremony. So he's aware of who I am, who his dad is, and what I've done, what I've accomplished, and so I can only hope that obviously he can follow in the footsteps. But I'm never one to pressure my kids to do anything. I kind of let them create their own path, their own journey. But yeah, I just want him to just give it all he got. All I can do is just kind of lay and give him the blueprint of what it took for me to get to that next level. And I always reflect back on and I've told a lot of people this on how I got to be the Hall of Famer that I am today. And like I said, I wasn't highly recruited coming out of high school. I wasn't a high draft pick going into the NFL. So to now be, like I said, to be here a Hall of Famer. And when I was nominated 3 years ago, I had to sit back and reflect on how I got to this point. Considering, like I said, I barely played in junior high. I barely played in high school. I played a little bit in college. I played enough to kind of get my name out there and get noticed. But when you think about, my 3Ds, and this is what I give people, not only just for any type of application to um, just sports, but it can also be applicable to life. And I call these my 3Ds. That's desire, dedication, and discipline. Everybody, whomever's watching this video, and then just like I said, people are like, everybody has a desire to be or do something in life. But in order to get to that next level, whatever your occupation, whatever field of occupation that you're in, everybody has somebody in that field or occupation that's at the top. So in order to get to the top or exceed whomever that person is that you're using as a barometer for success, my other 2Ds will get you there. That's dedication and that's discipline.
Man, dedication, discipline, that's something to live by for all of us, man. So obviously some fans are obviously looking at us right now, and they got a couple of good questions, man. So actually this is from Ty Adams and also Byron. They asked the same question, so I'm gonna ask you. So right now in the NFL, when you look at all the receivers in the league, is there anybody that resembles the way you play?
I'd probably say just with the physicality, just to run out the catch, I can only think of one, and that's Julio Jones.
Mm, yeah.
I wish I had his catch radius. Obviously, Julio coming out of high school, he was, a 4.43, I guess 4.2, 4.3 guy, what have you. I was never that coming out of college. But I did things in the off season to increase my speed. You have guys that have track speed, and you have guys that have game speed. You have all these guys that are coming out of high school, going into college, and anybody even coming out of college that are known for their speed. But the game is predicated on speed, so that just because you have speed doesn't mean that you can play the game. It helps, but what if you got speed and you can't really perform optimally, at your position? So if that's the case, I tell people, if that's the case, if speed was just it, then it will be a lot of track guys that run track. It'd be a lot of those guys in the NFL. So those are some of the things. One of the things that I had to improve upon is my speed, which I worked on pretty much after my third year when I got a personal trainer. I increased on my speed. I wasn't one of those guys that was coming out as some of my I guess one of the highlights of my career, my attributes that attracted the teams to me was my speed. No, that wasn't it. I was just a prototypical type of athlete, at the receiver position. When you talk about my physical attributes as far as my height, my hand size, and then, like I said, I had decent speed. Um, that's that was prototypical, and that's what kind of got me drafted, because I was drafted from UT Chattanooga, which is a Division I AA school. So yeah, so when you think about guys that resemble me playing in today's game, I ain't tooting my own horn, but looking back on my career and watching my highlights, bro, I'm thoroughly blessed, and I humbly say, like, I was one of a kind. So I was kind of looked at as a trendsetter in a number of ways, because when you look at some of the big, tall receivers that was in the league, some years before I got there, you think about your Jake Reeds, you think about tall guy like your Michael Irvins, your Michael Haynes, your Jerry Rices, guys, Michael Irvin, guys with like 6'2", 6'2" and above. So Julio Jones, I know this is a long-winded question, but hey, we ain't got nothing but time. But Julio Jones is that guy. When you see him, catch the ball and able to separate, not only he can separate with and without the ball. So that's one of the guys, like I said, that I look up to, I look and I see, okay, I'm like, okay, I can see when people say, oh, he's almost like he's like T.O. or what have you.
So man, like for you, like you walk into an NFL locker room and your first day in an NFL locker room, you see Jerry Rice. And that's like if you play basketball, Michael Jordan is there, right? I mean, for
Right,
you,
Michael Jordan, Kobe, yeah, it
yeah,
was.
how does that work for you, man? Like you had to, I mean, you had to show up then because you knew what time it was.
Well, yeah, I mean, like I said, I didn't really know much about Jerry Rice at that point. Um, just to let, I guess, give everybody a little insight on how I grew up. I was raised by my grandmother and my mom. My dad was, around but not around. So I didn't get to watch a lot of TV, especially sports for that matter. My grandmother didn't even really want me to play sports, so um, I didn't really know much about Jerry until like I think it might have been my junior year in college. Um, I think we came in. I came in the house one night. Some of the guys, they were watching TV or whatever. Everybody was watching a Monday night game, and it was the 49ers playing somebody. And so I kind of caught a glimpse and I kind of watched the game, and I saw that was kind of like my first experience of knowing who Jerry Rice was. And then like I said, my senior year comes. I'm playing decent. My junior year I played well. My senior year, a lot that the school wanted me to discontinue playing basketball to kind of focus and concentrate on football, on the draft. And so, I'm being, kind of just oblivious to what kind of opportunity that was in front of me. I was like, nah, like I'm not, because I didn't think I was going to play beyond the collegiate level. So I was like, no, I'm not gonna not play my senior year just to concentrate on football. Because I'm like, yeah, I just felt like I was average, I was decent, but I didn't feel like I had the talent to play at the next level. So I just continued to play. I continued to play my senior year. The scouts that came in and wanted to give me my individual workouts, and now you have guys that they call it their pro day. I had that back in the day, so they came in and they wanted to test us. So I went when they came. Scouts came in. The basketball coach, Mike McCarthy, he allowed me to kind of miss practice or what have you to go do the drills, run for the scouts. So I did my 40, I did the 20, did the shuttle, all that stuff. I think we did like broad jump. So I did all of that. And so I end up, obviously, being who I am and becoming who I am. But yeah, when you think about, all these guys, man, like I said, I'm just grateful to be in the position that I'm in.
All right. So right now in the league, obviously, free agency is a big deal. And Cowboys have a situation with Dak. And I know that, you've been around the Cowboys organization before. How do you feel about that situation with Dak? I mean, he seemed to have proved himself this last 2 or 3 years to where, hey, he can say, here's my contract. I think I should get it. How do you feel about that with him right now?
Oh, I think I mean, he has every right to feel the way that he does. I think he's deserving of, if not the equivalent of his peers. When you think about some of the guys that haven't really accomplished much, I mean, look at Tannehill. Tannehill just got $100 million contract. You can't say 2 years ago or a year ago, you couldn't say Tannehill was better than Dak Prescott. You look at Kirk Cousins. Look at how he's resurrected his career. You can't say that Dak is not an equal talent, if not better than Kirk Cousins. You look at Jared Goff. Just a year or so ago, before Jeff Fisher got fired. I mean, again, you can't say that Jared Goff was better than Dak. So again, this guy is very deserving of a contract, and I know I hear a lot of the comments, and I see the comments, about him being selfish, things of that nature. No, this game is not doesn't last forever, and as you've seen within the last few days. Look at all the trades that have happened. These teams, these owners, they don't have any loyalty. Look at
No
Todd
loyalty.
Gurley; he's been traded.
No loyalty.
Look at most notably, DeAndre Hopkins. Tom Brady doesn't fit into this equation because he's played for 2 decades, and he has the right to go wherever he wants. Like I said, he's a free agent. But when you think about guys that are under contract and these owners are trading them away, negating whatever contracts, the money that was in the contracts that they had, that's which brings me to another topic with the stupid CBA that they signed, that they
Man,
should have been negotiating guaranteed contracts and health insurance. But yeah, when you talk about Dak and his situation, yeah, I don't like. I would make if I'm Dak, I'm his agent. Going into obviously it's a few months down the road, but going into the season, I'm going to make the Cowboys pay me because they paid Tony Romo, and Tony Romo hasn't really done anything greater than Dak has done.
true.
Dak is why Tony Romo is no longer. So when you look at his production and what he's done in his 4 years or so, he's definitely deserving of every penny that he should get. So if I'm Dak, unlike a situation with Zeke last year, me knowing this, if I'm the quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys, I'm making them pay me. I'm holding out because they're gonna be in a shamble trying to go into a season without a quarterback.
And a new
They're
coach.
gonna be in shambles going into training camp and going into a season not having your number one guy that you franchise that have played for 4 years and have proven that he's a legitimate quarterback, not in training camp taking reps. And you're taking a big risk, not guaranteeing or not paying this guy the money that he's worth. Yeah, franchise tag or not. But guess what? Unlike Zeke, a quarterback is not as expendable as a running back.
Yeah.
The quarterback is equivalent to the head coach. He's like one of the most important pieces on your team, of a team. So if I'm Dak, I'm making them pay me. He's been respectful. He's been a pro. I mean, he's been everything that the Dallas Cowboys have asked him. I mean, granted, he hasn't really won a whole lot of games. They haven't really gotten beyond, got deep into the playoffs. But guess what? Neither did Tony Romo. And Tony Romo, they paid Tony Romo. So, I'm all in on Dak, getting his money.
So man, this is also a good question right here. Shout out to Mike, man. He wanted to ask you this. So is there in the past in the league, when you were in the league, was there a quarterback that you wanted to play with? And is there anybody right now that you would like if you had a chance to play with them, who would it be?
In the past, I mean, I would have loved to play with some more traditional drop back quarterbacks because and that's not a discredit to any of the quarterbacks that I played with because I think that's why when I mentioned earlier, I truly meant this. I'm a receiver that I felt like that transcended the game and I was one of a kind. Um, my game and how I played the game, I can play with a drop back quarterback and I can play with a quarterback that can drop at, move, get out of the pocket and make plays with the feet. I was one of those versatile type of players, dynamic players, is because I was able to do a lot of things. So if I had a drop back quarterback that could drop back and throw the ball 50, 60 something yards, I could flourish. Just like I did when I went from San Francisco when I played with Steve Young for a few years, everybody got a taste of what was to come.
Yeah.
Steve Young's career got cut short due to concussions. In comes Jeff Garcia, Tim Rattay. I played with a number of quarterbacks in San Francisco. Regardless of the quarterback's play style, I was able to adjust. It was me. I adjusted to every quarterback that I played with. So again, when you think about the traditional quarterback, I would say Donovan McNabb. He was sort of like a traditional type of quarterback because he was more that drop back type of quarterback. Even though he was listed as a runner too, but he could drop back and he could throw the ball 50, 60 something yards down the field. Could throw the out routes, throw the over routes. I think the thing that separates him from some of the greater quarterbacks was the accuracy. But again, when you think about what I was able to do with every quarterback that I played with, what a lot of people probably doesn't know or really didn't assess was I was able to adjust in every system that I played with, and I adjusted to every quarterback that I played with. So when you think about some of the, like I said, the traditional quarterbacks I wish I could have played with, like I said, Steve Young was that type of guy. But again, like I said, he got hurt right at the juncture of the threshold of when I was started to become, who I became. So when you think about your Peyton Mannings, you think about guys like Tom Brady. Just trying to think of some really successful drop back quarterbacks like Troy Aikman,
Yeah.
that could throw the ball all over the field without,
Mhm.
like I said, that were limited with their mobility or their athletic ability to get out of the pocket. So again, when you got a great offensive line, and you get a Kurt Warner, a guy that can just sit back there, can make all the throws, and like for me, I could run all the routes. When you got a quarterback that can make all the throws, and you got a receiver that can run all the routes, separate and do the things that I did once I got my hands on the ball, bro, trust me, I felt like my career was cut short because of a lot of BS, a lot of
Yeah.
politics. Again, everybody wants to say, "Oh, I said this," or I was that and a lot, this, that, and that and the other in the locker room. But again, after all these years, no player has ever come out and said that I was exactly what a lot of these commentators, in the narrative that they had put out there about me all these years, that I was a distraction in the locker room.
Yeah, man, because I find it funny, like every team that you own, they competed at a high level. And like going back to like even like the Eagles run, like that was fear as a Cowboy fan. That was a fear, like, oh my God, they got TO. We're definitely in trouble. I never forget the Monday night game when Diamond threw it across the field and you called and you took off, and I was like, oh my God, this is a problem. I mean, you played in the Super Bowl after break your leg, was it 4 weeks, 3 weeks, whatever it
Yeah,
was?
it was 6.5, 6.5, 7 weeks. I had two screws and a plate in my ankle.
Man, yeah, man. So like it's just, like you seem to like and I know a lot of your teammates, ex-teammates, they all had high praise for you. So I find it weird the narrative that was painted. But this is also a good question. So this is from Jerome. He stated, what DB gave you the most problems if there was one that you had to really come with it?
I would say early on in my career, when I was with the Niners, and that was because, like I said, I hadn't really I really hadn't perfected my craft, or I really hadn't really cleaned up my game, in order to kind of like, learn how to separate, learn how to set defensive backs up, learn how to get off the bump and run, early on in my career. So when we being in the NFC West, we played Seattle, we played the Rams twice a year, and we played the Saints, twice a year. So we were part of that NFC West. And so early on in my career, the guy who was a fellow Hall of Famer, Aeneas Williams, that
Yeah,
played for the
great
Rams, like
name.
he was a guy. Almost think if he wasn't 6 foot, right at 6 foot or whatever, but he was bigger. Again, he gave me fits, and so I struggled getting off the ball, getting in and into my routes and things of that nature. And I realized that, like, if I wasn't effective, if I couldn't get into the routes and be a viable option when Steve Young dropped back or what have you, and he go through his options. And there were sometimes where I was the number one option in a play. I could be number two or number three or what have you. Regardless of the situation, I needed to make myself available within that play. So he made it very, very difficult, for me to get into my routes. And so I just realized, and I practiced and I worked on it, especially working on my hand movement, working on the finesse game. I could run off the ball all day and just, try to play almost like bully ball, but, that was going to be tiring. And two, if you're a quarterback and he sees you, bumped up, with a defensive back, you're going to look like you're not open. So he's not going to throw you the ball. So these are some of the things that I learned along the way, and I process and assess for myself. I'm like, yo, I got to get better, in order to beat these guys. If I can't beat Aeneas Williams, who is a bigger, not slower, but he provided a different a different task for me than those smaller DBs. And I'm like, yo, if I can't get off him, then I'm definitely not going to get off these little guys. So I just kind of continued to work, day in and day out after practice, to hone in on my skills. And so I felt like if I could beat Aeneas Williams, and you think about Bobby Taylor, who's another big body, some of the other like notable that like I consider shut down corners at the time, Dre Bly. They had Jason Sehorn in New York. They had Champ Bailey. So again, so these are some of the guys that made me want to get better, because I'm like, yo, if I can beat these bigger guys, or these notable guys, then I just felt like anywhere that I lined up on the field, nobody could stop me. And what I did too was, when I'm in training camp or when I'm in practice, or we had free agents or people that we brought on to the team, I watched their routes. I watched how these guys got open, because everybody's route running is different. Everybody has a unique or innate skill that makes them who they are in order to obviously to be on the team. So everybody has a special gift that makes them, able to be noticed by scouts or GMs or whatever. So I would sit back and watch guys run routes, and I would try to take a little bit of what they did to get open and try to incorporate it into my game. So early on in my career, yeah, I tried to beat a lot of guys by just being physical with them. But as you saw, as my career evolved, I began to be a guy that, like, I could take the top off the defense. I could separate. Obviously, I learned a lot of this from Jerry as well. So I took as much as I could watching Jerry, not only in practice, games, but I watched a lot of film. I asked my coaches. They saw a lot of potential in me early on. So they coached me, and they helped me, and they helped groom me to be the receiver that I became, because I didn't know everything. That's obvious, like I said, coming from a Division I AA school. And shout out to UT Chattanooga for giving me the opportunity. Like I said, I had a lot to learn. So when you talk about DBs, that kind of the main guy, and I talked to Aeneas Williams a couple of times. I mentioned to him every time, and I give him. He didn't know it, but I mean, like, he was one of those guys that gave this guy right here fits, because I was a big body, he was a big body, and I'm like, man, how can I get away from this guy? And if there were games where I didn't statistically play well, and I felt like it was because of how he played me, that ate at me. And so I'm like, man, how can I get away? How can I get open? How can I be a viable option, to my team? And so that's one of those guys. And so the other, like I said, the guys that, that came, after him or what have you, for me, it was a piece of cake, because, like I said, I continue to try to perfect my skill set every year. I had a personal trainer and Buddy Priam, who basically, like I said, the physical aspect of it, like I said, taking care of my body, that's one thing. That's one thing. But him, as not only just my personal trainer, he watched film, he watched games, he saw where I needed to kind of improve on route running or my gait, everything. And those are things that we worked on in the off season.
Man. And you know what's crazy? I tell people all the time, I say, T.O. is one of those guys, he could take a 5-yard slant to the house. And I never will forget that. I think it was a Sunday night game. You guys were playing the Atlanta Falcons, and you had matched up with D'Angelo Hall. You did this double move, and it was crazy. And I was just like, dude, he could do it from both ways. And you took it to the
Oh
house,
yeah.
and it's like, that's something rare that you don't get a guy that can do both. There's very few receivers that can do both, man. So, yeah, definitely, man. So, my guy Cliff from Hoops Jargon, he definitely had a good question for you. So basically, we know about the whole Eagles thing with Super Bowl that you didn't get a chance to win, but then 2009 with the Cowboys. Do you feel like that was the biggest time that you could have the most missed opportunity in the Super Bowl that year?
Yeah, I think I was hurt that year, and I had come back against the Giants. We played the Giants. I don't know. I think that was at the game. I think where the playoffs, where I think he had gone, him and Witten and some other guys. They had gone on
Cowboys.
vacation. Yeah, they went to Cabo right before the playoffs, and yeah, that was the year. And so I had a high ankle sprain, and so I was getting treatment every day, just to be ready to play in that game, and we end up losing. And then, obviously, like I said, that's the famous that's my quarterback. That's my quarterback meme that's out. And for me, going in after that season, I had signed a 4-year extension. And so going in, this was, I think, the year going into Jerry's world. And I talked to Jerry after the season, and he called me. I was living in Dallas at the time, still in Dallas. I was at my apartment, my condo at the Azure, and he called me and he asked me, his secretary called me. He said, Jerry wants to speak to you. I was like, all right, cool. So I got it. He got me on the phone, and he just basically asked me some questions about, the year that just passed, and what we could do moving forward to get over the hump, to try to at least get our team, with all of the weapons that we had, what would it take, or in my estimation or assumption, what it took to get us to the next level. And so I was, open and honestly, number one, I was honored that he was calling me, because now that gave me the sense that he felt like, okay, I'm a leader, I'm a veteran on the team, and he's asking for my input. And so I just basically just said, yeah, everybody needs to be accountable. There are meetings that were had throughout the course of that season. There are some rumors and things that had gotten twisted about certain things, about meetings, and how people found out certain things that were supposed to be in-house. And so I basically, like I said, I gave him my input on what we needed to do. And I thought, okay, I'm like, okay, cool. So he took that information, ran with it, and then like a few months later, I'm in Florida. I had a condo in Florida during the off season. He and Stephen Jones, they came up to Fort Lauderdale. I guess there was an owners meeting, and so he called up my agent, Drew Rosenhaus at the time, and said they wanted to meet. And so I didn't know what it was about. I asked Drew what it was about, and he said I think it was just about the future, and he was excited about the possibility of next year. And they just wanted to take advantage of the time that I was in Florida and he was in Florida. So I just thought they wanted to meet up. But ultimately, I think everybody knows that was when I ended up getting cut. So as far as Tony Romo and I, like I said, we haven't really spoken in person since all of that stuff happened. But I mean, I've always wanted to know, like, because I've heard the rumors, and I'm probably 95% sure that it happened, that he was a part in my departure from the Cowboys, him along with Jason Witten and Jason Garrett. And so there were some things that I had heard that just because of who he was and what he had accomplished, what he was doing and saying to guys, there with the Cowboys, after I left. So, like I said, it's very unfortunate, considering, like I said, I was a guy that was, pulling for Tony. I vouched for him. I was, like I said, I shed tears for the dude, you know what I mean? But that's the type of person that I am. I don't regret, those tears. Am I disappointed in how things, happened after that? Absolutely. But like I said, it is what it is. That's how people are. And so for whatever reason, I felt like him being in the position that he was in, being the quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys, he could have said something to have my back, to prevent Jerry from or Steven from making that decision to cut me. So so other than that, man, I mean, like I said, a lot of people, I see the question, asking why we never got it done. But one, I guess a part of that too is that which is the knock on Tony, is that he couldn't get, he didn't rise to the occasion in big games. And so and I watched games, some of the games, and after I left. And so a lot of that has to do with him and his skill set as a quarterback, or lack of. And some of it, I think it a lot of that shouldered, Jason Garrett had to shoulder some of that too, because you're only good as your head coach, and I'm sure the coach can say a team is only good as your quarterback. So those two kind of goes hand in hand.
Yeah, and the funny thing about that was, I remember talking to you right when Jason Garrett got the job, and I remember you said, "No, you were kind of one of the first ones that kind of knew the complacency part with that." And
Yeah.
did you feel like Jason Garrett cost the Cowboys a year? Because I felt that way personally, that he cost them a few chances to make it to the Super Bowl because of his inability to coach in big situations.
Yeah, I mean, everybody has their strong suits. And so, for me, I just thought his strong suit uh, wasn't suitable to be a head coach.
No.
You look um, at one point in time, I think it may have been a couple of years ago, Wade Phillips who Jerry fired. Um, Jason Garrett's record was the same as his, but they fired Wade Phillips. At
Yeah.
this point, Jason Garrett had been there, I don't know, equal time or more, whatever, and his record was the same. He didn't accomplish no more than Wade Phillips. So the reason why you fired Wade Phillips should have been a reason why you should have been firing Jason Garrett maybe a year or two before he got fired. I mean, I said it when I left. They weren't gonna accomplish anything because, like I said, I realized how some of those guys had obviously kind of gotten beside themselves. They thought they were better than what they were, a la Tony. And then again, you look at the head coach position. So again, like I said, I knew if I would have still been there, me being on that field would have, like I said, Tony probably would have still been playing. His career wouldn't have been shortened due to injuries because I already know if I'm on that field, the plays that he got hurt on, those plays aren't called. It's a different scenario. So, like I said, they brought it on themselves. So at the end of the day, you have to factor in, some of the questionable moves that they made, and one of them was, releasing me. Obviously, Miles Austin was there. They thought he was going to duplicate or, replicate what I was doing. That didn't happen. Before that, they had Roy Williams. They brought in, good friend of mine. They thought, they brought him in from Detroit. They thought, he was going to, replicate or duplicate my production. That didn't happen. So again, you look at the decision making. Like I said, I'm not here to toot my own horn, but like I said, I saw it. I saw it from afar. So like I said, I wasn't that big of a distraction in that locker room, like everybody said. And so even Marcus Spears came out, 2 years ago when it was everybody kept talking about the narrative that I was a problem in Big D and this and that and the other as part of, why I didn't make it into the Hall of Fame. That was one of the things that they were saying. And he looked into the camera and he goes, "Yo, I played with this guy for 3 years. He saw me on the field, off the field." And he basically said he doesn't know where that narrative came from because I was nothing but a consummate teammate. So other than that, man, like I said, that's why I've always been able to thrive and flourish and speak my mind because I know who I am at heart, regardless of whatever the narrative that the media was stirring up.
Yeah, man. And shout out to Sonny, man. He was mentioning about the Hall of Fame. And I never will forget the day that you got announced for the Hall of Fame. I said, man, I'm gonna call T.O. because it had just went viral. I said,
Yeah.
T.O., I think you made the Hall of Fame, bro. Like, and I remember it. We FaceTimed each other, and I was like, this is actually happening. I thought it should have happened way before. We all know the story behind it. But what I commend you for, and I commend you for actually, and I think that you did a great job with, was the fact you did it on your terms. They did it on their terms, you did it on your terms. Can you talk about that and how you were able to go back to your alma mater and do all that?
Well, I mean, it wasn't something that I felt like I wanted to do, especially after the first time being nominated for the Hall of Fame, and then I got to see after the first year how political it was, and when you talk about the criteria and really the mission statement that they have in all their pamphlets, there at in Canton on the walls, when you talk about all these things, commitment to excellence, all this stuff. Um, I felt like I embodied all of that, regardless of the narrative, the created narrative that all these media people were saying about me. When you talk about the criteria and what it takes for guys to get into the league, get into the Hall of Fame, excuse me, I checked all those boxes. But for whatever the reason, when it came to me, the voters kept creating different things for me to jump over, different obstacles to prevent me from getting in that was nowhere near related to the criteria. So when you start talking about a person's character and things of that nature, again, I still check those boxes because there are people that had gone into the Hall of Fame before me, after me, and their character was way more in question than mine. And so I felt disrespected, in that regard. So after the first time, I'm like, all right, cool. And I mean, I had so many Hall of Famers that knew that I should have been a first ballot. Regardless, like I said, it's not a big deal whether you first, second, or third, or whatever. People try to say, oh, it doesn't matter. Okay, if it doesn't matter, then why does people always, bring it up then? Regardless, like I said, whether you get in first time, it takes you 2, 3, 4, 10 times to get in. Like I said, for an individual, when you feel like you've earned the right and your talents stood with the elite of the ones that got in on the first go round, like yeah, it does mean something, regardless of whatever they say. So for me, they not only disrespected me, but I felt like they disrespected my family because, like I said, when you're an NFL player, at the end of the day, you represent that shield. Number one, you represent your family name. You represent the shield, and you represent that organization. So it can't be now all of a sudden you kind of disconnect everything because you're no longer playing in the National Football League, and now you're up for the Hall of Fame. So that's why, like I said, I should have. I felt like I rightfully earned everything that I did, as it relates to statistically where I stood amongst the greatest that have ever played the game. Especially in considering that I never thought I would play beyond the collegiate level, and to be named, right off the bat, one of the top 2 or 3 receivers. When you think about Jerry Rice, myself, and Randy, those are guys that you think of instantly, as the top 2 or 3. Like I said, everybody's gonna say me and Randy we're interchangeable at 2 or 3. But for me, like I said, there's one little category. Jerry can be 1, I can be 1A. Randy can be number 2. And like I said, you can fill everybody else in after that. But yeah, that was kind of that was my process, going into making the decision to do it there at my alma mater. Yeah, I want to thank Stephen Angle, Mark Wharton, everybody that assisted in helping me pull something that had never been done before, pull it off. And it wasn't, for me, it wasn't a publicity stunt.
Nope.
But it's one of those saying, if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. And so, for me, like I said, I know that I didn't do anything, to tarnish the shield, tarnish my organization nor my family. So I wasn't going to allow these people, these pencil pushers, some guys that have never played the game in their lives, to be able to create my journey when I'm the one that has done the hard work, and they saw it for themselves. They've seen my tape. What I mean? They've talked to the peers. They've talked to my opponents. They know that I was one of the best to ever play the game. And so when you have people that are constantly trying to disrespect you, and they're in a position to do the right thing and they don't do it, then for me that's shame on you. It's a shame on the people that appoint them, which are the Hall of Fame, the people in the Hall of Fame committee. And it puts a bad taste in the fans' mouth about the Hall of Fame selection process. And then again, like I said, you look at the NFL, they try to disconnect themselves when it comes to the Hall of Fame stuff. But I don't know how you can do that when the very guys that you're inducting and ultimately inducted into the Hall of Fame, we're the guys that make up the National Football League. We make up the football league. There is no Hall of Famers. There wouldn't be any players there wouldn't be any league without us. So, like I said, I did what I did. I'm proud of it. If there's any type of aspiration or inspiration that, people gained from it, just know that, like I said, I did it, where I felt like my heart was in the right place. And I wanted to just kind of, like I said, nobody had come to really to my defense to the point to where it moved the needle or they changed anything. So in order, for something to change, and then somebody has to step up. And so for me, I talked to a lot of guys that were in similar situations as I was, that were that should have been first or second ballot Hall of Famers. There was a lot of guys that I talked to that said that they had the same feelings. They said they weren't gonna go, but they didn't have the balls enough to do it. So I think anybody that knows me, like I said, I'm not I'm not a bad person, but I'm not going to allow somebody to just dictate, and treat me how they want to be treated. My grandmother raised me that way. And I think that was part of what really factored into it too, because my grandmother told, like, don't let anybody run over you. Because if you see one person run over you, the next person that sees it, they're going to feel like they can do it as well. And so if I can give anybody the strength to kind of move with whatever your emotions are, and you feel like you're convicted in how you feel, then you very well just do so.
Yeah, man, and to me, when people ask me all the time about the receiver deal, this is what I say about you and Randy. This is the one thing that separates it, or it's actually two things. Number one, I've never heard you on record ever say you're gonna play when you want to play. So, because I know if you would have said that, it would have been over.
Right. I mean, if I would have said that during the whole time that I was being, nominated, or any narrative that they would have been talking about, that would have been the main clip that they would have been saying, showing the whole entire time, to help support why they weren't putting me in if I had said that. But hey, it is what it is. And like I said, you look at the situation with Randy, it almost feels like, and it seems like, okay, you got to work in the media to get a pass or what have you. But my grandmother didn't raise me to be no ass kisser. Never have, never will. And so it is what it is.
All right, we got a few more questions. So this is a good one right here. You mentioned Julio earlier, and shout out to Darnell. He wanted to ask, are there any receivers right now in the league that you would like to work with, that you feel like you can take them to the next level?
I mean, I'm sure. I mean, I'm always available. If any guys want to kind of pick my brain, or do workouts or what have you. Julio Jones and I, we worked out a couple years ago. He came out to California, and we did the sand dunes. We ran routes. We talked a lot. Whether it was on phone, in person. We trained a bit in Atlanta as well. So again, there's, like I said, there wasn't too much that I could offer Julio. I mean, he's a physical specimen in himself. But like I said, I mean, that year, I mean, he again, a lot of people saw that he balled out. So I'm not going to take credit for it. But again, like I said, when you can add little nuances to your game, especially if you grasp something from somebody that has made it to the top of played at the top of their game, and you can incorporate it, to your toolbox, then yeah, that's only going to make you that much more of a threat. Like he needs to be any more of a threat. But when you can add a little bit, a little bit more to your toolbox, that's going to make you an even better receiver. So, last year we didn't get to work out a little like we wanted to. He was nursing some injuries or what have you, so he didn't get to train as he would have liked. But he still was, again, he was one of the top receivers. That just shows you. I mean, he wasn't even 100%, but still he was out there balling out. And so happy for him that he's one that he got paid. I'm glad that Arthur Blanks, realized and rewarded this guy for who he is. Number one, as a person, and the other is for his production and what he provides for the Atlanta Falcons. Because you look at a few years ago, Matt Ryan signs a $150 million deal. When you look at it, nobody would say that Matt Ryan is a top 5 quarterback in the league. I don't know if they would name, maybe somewhere late top 10. But when you think, again, we factored in that question about Dak. Dak, can be put in that conversation. As one of the top 10 quarterbacks. But back to my original answer, like, yeah, I mean, you look at him, making 150 million. If you take Julio away from the Falcons, Matt Ryan is not half the man. Matt Ryan wouldn't make half of that. You know what I mean? So 75 million of what Matt Ryan is making is credited to Julio Jones. Because, like I said, he wouldn't be who he was or on that field or got the numbers production wise, or the contract that he got without Julio Jones. You don't get that with some just regular Joe Blow, some pedestrian receiver. So that's why I felt bad, in a sense, that Julio had to go through this long, lengthy process just to get paid. It's the same thing that Dak is, Dak is going through. Why is it that these black players have to go through long lengths
Yeah.
of negotiation or almost a threat to hold out to get paid? Matt Ryan didn't have to do it.
Nope.
Tannehill didn't have to do it.
Nope.
I'm like, yo, people wake up. NFL players wake up. You see what the deal is. And even with this crazy, silly CBA that they just signed, if anything, what should have been on the table of negotiation number one and two is guaranteed contracts. Number two is health care. And then whatever you guys sign after that, that's icing on the cake. But those are the number two things that they should have been. And the NFLPA, they did a poor job in representing these guys, because that should have been number one and two, especially when you have guys over the last like 5 to 10 years have been commenting and tweeting and voicing their opinion about how much Major League Baseball is getting paid. These guys are getting paid 100, 200, $300 million. The same with basketball players. Their contracts are guaranteed. If these players get cut from their team, they still gonna get that whatever remaining money from their contract. Football, these guys just signed the most idiotic deal to get what a measly 250 grand for an extra game or so, whatever the deal is. That's ridiculous, because guess what? Those players are not even going to see. They're not going to see the entirety of this new collective bargaining agreement that they
Nope.
signed. But guess who's going to be there? Those
Oh,
owners and the GMs mostly. They're the ones that are going to be there. Those players, they might not last half of that. So I don't know why they would sign that. But again, poor representation by the NFLPA.
yeah, man, and I tell fans all the time, I don't expect how you think these players have to be loyal, and the owners and the
Exactly.
teams are.
They signed on the same dotted line. I thought a contract was binding. So it's like, that's the thing. That's what they have to fight for. They have to be educated about, and I think a lot of guys like your Russell Wilson, your Drew Breeses, Richard Shermans, Aaron Rodgers, your Chris Longs, who obviously retired. He's been trying to kind of help, steer these guys. And I'm obviously, in some sense, educate these guys on what should be most important. It's not the immediate money, because that's not going to last. Again, you think about, like I said, 250. That's not 250. You got to think taxes, things of that nature. It's Dude, you got to fight for the guaranteed money, bro. Fight for the guaranteed money. And minorities, all they had to do was get together,
Yeah.
talk, group text, just like everybody's group texting about this quarantine thing and telling everybody to do the right thing. The football players should have been doing and can do the same thing to have, and you speak, meet, talk about what they need as football players, as the league. And like I said, it's hindsight now, but they should have gone into that into these negotiations with that leverage. The league is made up of 70+% minority. You
Yeah.
can't play no games without us. So all they had to do was use that number one thing right there as leverage going into a season. They could have got what they wanted, but again, these guys aren't educated enough. They're all about the quick dollar. Again, like I said, I've tried to talk to some guys about the leverage that they have being a minority, and really putting the owners back against the wall, to get what they want. But again, they didn't use it.
Yeah, and I agree with you, man. Like, man, it sounds like you need to become the head of the NFLPA.
Man, they don't want. That's the thing. Somebody me come and who really did them a disservice is wasn't it Troy
Vincent.
Vincent?
Troy Vincent.
Troy Vincent, he's a player. He was a player himself. But these guys, like I said, they get in positions like that. Now they're worried about their own pockets. They're not worried about these guys. They know exactly what's about to happen to these guys that signed that ridiculous, idiotic CBA. He knows exactly what's going to happen. He went through it. Now he's like he's riding with the enemy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He knows better than that. He should have been the main one to help these guys fight for guaranteed contracts. But no, oh, he's out of the league now. He's working with the league office, things of that nature. All he's doing is worried about his own pockets. I don't have no, man. I say whatever I want to say. I have
Yeah.
No reservations about what I just said. These guys, like I said, I've heard other guys say it too. They're the ones that brought his name up, and it just came to my thoughts. Like, yo, he's done these guys a disservice too. But hey, that's what it is. That's why, we as, African Americans, we can't really progress like we need to. And then him being in the position that he's in, he should be able to help educate these younger guys to put them in the game in a better position. But guess what? He done jumped right over here to the other side, and he's just like them.
And I agree. So, Florida football questions real quick. Got a lot of Cowboys fans in here. So, what do you think about Mike McCarthy?
He comes with a better resume than the guy that just left.
Yeah.
He's accomplished more. So again, like I said, we'll see. And obviously, like I said, his resume kind of speaks for itself, and that's all we can hang our hats on right now. Is because, like I said, he's a proven winner. You can't say that about Garrett. He's a guy that has coached some great quarterbacks, some Hall of Fame quarterbacks, Super Bowl quarterbacks. You can't say that about Garrett. I think he's a guy that's going to kind of demand a lot from the locker room. From a player standpoint, I think he's a coach that I think the players will respect. From my understanding of the guys that have played, under Garrett, especially the last maybe 2 or 3 years, I think he lost the respect of the locker room. You just didn't see that consistency, that fight of players. I think when you look at just take the rivals, Philadelphia Eagles, and the coach Doug Peterson over there. You look at the Cowboys and Jason Garrett. If you look at, just looking at the teams on paper, yeah, you would say no doubt Dallas Cowboys have the best roster. But now that you know the facts, and you look at the Philadelphia Eagles, new coach, you look at their roster. When you compare the two, like I said, you're going to say that the Dallas Cowboys, they should win all day. But you have a team like the Philadelphia Eagles, a fairly new head coach in Doug Peterson, who basically overachieved with the talent, with less talent. And you look at the Cowboys, who has obviously, I think, I wouldn't say the better head coach, but he had definitely a better team who basically underachieved with better talent. So that's where you factor in, where Mike McCarthy will come in and be, I think, be a better head coach. He's a better fit for right now. That ship is kind of, like I said, that I think when you think about Garrett, his head coaching, and that ship kind of ran its course. So I knew it should have been done a couple of years ago. I think with Jerry, right now he wants to win a Super Bowl. He has the talent there. Now he has to have put a coach in position, and I think he did that with the hiring of Mike McCarthy to put that team in the best position to do that. So we'll see. I think it's a great hire.
All right. So, right now, and I know the answer to this, but my guy Sean wants to know, could you lace them up right now? At least give a team 807?
Oh yeah, no doubt. I mean, I think just just my knowledge of the game, and like I said, if you, not that would have happened, but like I said, you said, could I do it? If someone gave me the opportunity, then yeah, I could definitely be productive. Like I said, for me to come in and play 60, 75 snaps, I don't think I can do that. But as far as catches or what have you, it would obviously depend upon the coach, the situation, me understanding third down, me understanding red zone, which is where I kind of made my living. I had a number of touchdowns, so I understand the red zone, how everything happened quicker, faster there. So that's where I would be advantageous. Again, like I said, not only just personally, but even for the team, because I'm going to draw double team coverage, which will enable other guys to be open. When we think about a team with a legitimate tight end or legitimate, I would consider myself a number 2 receiver outside of a number 1 receiver at this state of my career if I were to play. So again, even at me being a number 2, I guarantee you teams knowing my ability to get open and how I played the game, they would treat me almost as a number one. So guess what? It's going to enable other guys to be open. Your tight end, your running backs, the other receiver. So that's going to bode well for the team when you get down to the red zone. And so you look at some of these teams that struggled when they got to the red zone. That's where I would be advantageous.
All right, last football question. So, do you have a favorite route that you like to run, or
I would probably say the slant and go, which is called, the terminology for that is called sluggo. They put slant and the go together. So that was something, again, like I said, the staple route for the West Coast offense. And when I was with the Niners, was the slant route. So those are, like I said, when we talked about it earlier, about me taking short passes and taking them the distance. Yeah, I mean, whether I'm in the slot or I'm outside, I ran a number of slant routes. I know you mentioned it earlier at the beginning of this podcast about when I came back and I played against the Cowboys and I was with the Eagles and I ran an inside slant and Donovan threw it and I split the linebackers and I took it to the house. So that was one of those staple routes that I learned early on in my career with the Niners. And then basically you just said you run enough of those routes and you make it believable. Again, like I said, you don't even really have to go through it. You've had so much success and guys watch so much film. They watch your alignment. They watch your body language. I used all that to my advantage because I know that that's what they're looking at. And so when I run a slant, I'm gonna sell that slant with my head and eyes just to make them bite. And so when they do that, even just for a half a step, if I see out my periphery, you're already committed. It's a wrap. It's a wrap, baby. Get your pom poms ready. Get your popcorn ready, because it's about to be a show all day long. So that's what I like to do, man. So that was one of my favorite routes. Pretty much everywhere that I went to, where I went, and the go route became my favorite too. Even later on in my career, because a lot of guys, they didn't think I was as fast as I was. But hey, be careful what you ask for. They said they wanted me, they got me.
all right, man. So, I definitely got to ask you this, man. So, as a collective, we all can agree one of the best video games to ever come out, sports-wise, NFL 2K5. You own the cover, and the news
Okay.
just got out that 2K is making video games. How was that for you?
That was fun, man. Like, so for me, I never got to be on the cover of Madden or anything like that. So I guess for me, that was the next best thing. I had to be the next best thing. I mean, to be on the cover of a video game where you're going to be in millions of homes. Yeah, it was a blessing. For me, it was one of those moments in your career, like, oh man, it's like, man, I've arrived. You know what I mean? To be considered, to be a player that they considered putting on the cover of a video game, that's almost being like equivalent to being on the cover of a Wheaties box. You know what I mean? So I never got to be on the cover of cereal box, but I know what that's like to kind of just be somewhere. And then, like I said, I had, idols of basketball players or athletes that I saw that I'm walking down the cereal aisle and I'm seeing them on a cereal box. That's big. So for me, the gaming industry is booming. It's $1 billion industry. I don't know if it was that much back then, but it was on the cusp of obviously, where we are now with video gaming. So number one, it was an honor. It was a blessing. So yeah, I definitely enjoyed it. So like I said, it's the next thing to being on the cover of Madden. So, but I appreciate 2K, 2K5 for having me on the cover. So I had a good time doing that shoot.
Man, so one thing I do like to talk about is sneakers. And the craziest thing is that you're one of I consider the OGs of like wearing Jordan like retro cleats. Can you talk about that? Because you a big Jordan 3 guy.
Man, it was an honor, man, to be considered one of the Jordan athletes, dude. I think I may have been like the second or third. I think Randy Moss was the first one, and so and then I think, man, I don't know, I was somewhere in the first five athletes that they signed or what have you. So I was very fortunate in my first year. I think getting some Jordan products. I think it was when I played with the Dallas Cowboys and then obviously with the Eagles. And so it was an honor. And then 2008 hit, We wanted to renegotiate, and just the relationship that I had with with Brand Jordan when they kind of, that was when the recession, I think recession hit, the market crashed and all that stuff. So everybody was making cuts here and there. So they didn't extend my Jordan contract, but we had such a great relationship. I did with Brand Jordan and Michael Jordan himself. He still allowed me to wear his product. And he basically told the guys, the company, he said, whatever T wants, give it to him. So, my last year or so, I didn't play. I wasn't under contract with Brand Jordan, but I love the product so much that I wanted to continue to wear it, and I wanted to represent, the greatest basketball player of all time. So, it wasn't about the money for me. I just loved and appreciated the opportunity just to wear the Jordans, and just the appreciation for them to even consider me as one of the as an athlete to represent, his brand. When you think of Michael Jordan, you think about passion, pursuit of greatness himself. You think about what he did for the sport of basketball and what he was doing, obviously to branch out and brand his company, his name. So, like I said, at one point in time, somebody called me, people were calling me the Michael Jordan of football. And so again, that's an honor in itself, especially when you had a guy like Randy Moss that was, scoring touchdowns left and right. When you think about the two top receivers, during the era that we played, they had Marvin Harrison and some other guys, but nobody was doing what me and Randy was doing. So we were must see TV. And so how it is when I get on the field, is get your popcorn ready. That's why I got my podcast, Get Your Popcorn Ready, with my boy with T.O. and my boy Hatch. So yeah, so that was it, man. I'm all about the Brand Jordan. I still have a relationship with him. Just talked to him a couple of weeks ago, to be honest, and saw him at All Star Weekend. And my favorite Jordan was the Jordan 3. So I'm always gonna be a Michael Jordan fan.
So shout out to Tommy Ruff, man. He wanted to ask you, post NFL, what's the most enjoyable thing that you got going in your life? What's the most enjoyable thing? Obviously, the podcast with Matthew Hatchett. Man, Terrell,
Yeah.
what you doing, man?
Yeah, right now, yeah, I'm getting ready to launch my clothing line. Hopefully, when all this Corona juju die down and things get back to normal. Like I said, I'm in the process of launching my clothing line. It's called Prototype 81. It'll consist of men and women's clothing. So if you think hoodies, joggers, crop tops, leggings, it's going to reflect, kind of who I am as a person. Obviously, fly style. It's going to have some pops of color, a lot of print, a lot of texture with patterns. With the design, I'm very hands-on, very instrumental in the development of whatever I'm putting out. So again, like I said, definitely be on the lookout for some of that. And I'm doing my podcast, Get Your Popcorn Ready podcast with myself and Hatch, with T.O. and Hatch. You can find that on the Himalaya app, or really wherever you listen to your podcast. So obviously Spotify, all these other apps where you get your podcasts. And so, then I think obviously probably the most exciting thing is spending time with my kids. I'm having a good time doing that. My daughter's playing volleyball. Starting to kind of see her develop into an athlete. So that's good. Now I'm having to actually, be a father and really kind of shed some light and be encouraging and kind of give them the blueprint of what it takes to make them better athletes themselves. So then, like I said, I have a 9-month-old, so I'm just having a good time. Just really, like I said, and again, understanding and learning how to be a dad. So like I said, now I have more time on my hands to do so, as opposed to when I played and my kids were growing up, so I didn't get to see them as often. But now, just to be around my kids and really just be there for them, and provide something that wasn't provided or was there for me, and that was just just being there as a father. My mom and my grandmother was always there, just like my kids now. Their moms are always going to be there, but what I lack and what they won't lack is a dad, and I consider myself a father, being active in their life, being present in their life. So, and then like I said, I'm just enjoying life, man. Just doing speaking engagements here and there, talking about my career, how I got to where I am. I've spoken in front of a number of different crowds, from trading stock companies, real estate, really just how talking on how speaking on how an athlete's mindset is applicable to their occupation, what have you. And as I alluded to earlier, part of that is speaking on those 3 Ds that I mentioned: desire, dedication, and discipline. And obviously, it can be applicable to not just sports, but any way of life.
So y'all definitely check out Prototype 81. Get your popcorn ready. Y'all know y'all got subscribers.
Yeah,
We're gonna put the link
yeah,
down.
definitely. I need everybody to go to that. Go to right now if you're watching. Go to the Himalaya app, download it. Go to Get Your Popcorn Ready with To and Hatch. We got some nice. Trust me, we've had some nice guests, and we got some more exciting guests that's going to appear on the show. We release shows every Tuesday, so uh, look at my Instagram. Look at Matthew Hatchett's Instagram. His Instagram is at Matthew Hatchett. We're releasing again an episode every week. It'll be released on Tuesday, the audio version, and then on Thursday we release the video, the YouTube version of it. So we've had some interesting guests so far. We had Michael Strahan, Sean Merriman, Bill Bellamy, John Claude Van Damme. If you watch Bloodsport, Universal Soldier, Kickbox, man, you gotta listen to that. You gotta listen to that episode with John Claude Van Damme. It was very very good. We had Eddie Murphy's daughter, Bria Murphy, on there. Adrian Gonzalez of the Mets, the Dodgers, the Red Sox. I think he had a 15-year career. We had a good time on his when we had him on the show as well. So yeah, Jamil Hill stopped by, graced us with our presence. So yeah, we got some more in the can already. So we got about 10 weeks. Hopefully, this corona juju virus stuff doesn't last too long. But regardless of that, every Tuesday we releasing an episode. So yeah, Danya Ramirez, even the girl that the lead girl in Uncut Gems,
Yeah.
Julia Fox. She was one of our first guests. So yeah, just yeah, check it out, man.
Yeah.
Subscribe. Make
Yeah.
sure
So
you
one thing I do want
subscribe.
to let everybody know is this. We know that you can hoop, but there's another sport that you swear up and down that you're the best in, and that's bowling. Me and you've had some
Oh
words
yeah,
about bowling. You tell
I'm
everybody.
nice and bowling, man. Hey, shout out to the PBA, Tom Clark, who's the commissioner over there. Some of my good friends that are bowlers, Wes Malott, Jason Belmo, the Australian with the two-hand bowler, Sean Rash. Shout out to Ebonite, Storm, Hammer, Track, all these bowling brands. Like I said, man, I love it, man. Pete Weber, uh, who else? Norm Duke, all these guys. These are some of the guys. Chris Barnes, some of these guys. Actually, Norm Duke is the one that really taught me how to bowl. Back in '96, I went to a charity event that the Niners were doing at a bowling alley for a benefit, and it was a bowling event. I didn't really know how to bowl. I was just bowling a house ball, just trying to use my muscles and throw the ball down there hard as I could, just to kind of create an explosion and knock all the pins down. But I didn't want to I didn't want to be average. I didn't want to be one of those guys that just come to the bowling alley with no game. It just wasn't me. It wasn't gonna fit me. So I learned. I asked Norm Duke. He took some time during that little event, showed me how to bowl, and I was hooked ever since. Ended up going to get some balls drilled next within the next day or two. I didn't know what I was doing. I just went to the bowling alley. Can you drill me some balls? They were like, well, how do you throw it? Shit, I couldn't even tell them. I didn't know how I threw it, but I just kind of described like how I threw the ball, which is down and in. I wanted to react on the back end and create, hit that pocket that one in the three pin. And so that's how they start drilling. And so I just kind of just started, bowling on my own. I was fortunate. I haven't been fortunate to bowl a 300 game, but I've been close a handful of times where my score has been 288. So No 300 games under my belt yet, but I love bowling. Anybody that feel like they got some smoke, you want to bowl, come on out. I might even, I'm even thinking about. There's a female bowler right now, Gigi Jasmine, uh, young African American female. I followed her. She's on that. She's on the rise, on the come up. I might even sponsor her. Prototype 81 might be sponsoring her. She's gonna be nice. Gigi Jasmine, check her out. She's gonna be nice. But yeah, you don't want no smoking this bowling, Chris. You don't want that.
Man, see, and I watched you bowl in person, and the whole time he bowled, he looked at me as if I'm supposed to say, "Okay, he got to start." So he looked at me the whole time. I think he was doing it on purpose, but yeah, I'll give it to you. I'll give you the bowling right now. I'll give you the bowling right now. I'll give it to you. But I guess everybody wants to know one thing, man. What's up with your boy Ocho, man? You talked to him lately?
Yeah. I'm in Florida right now. Ain't no telling what he probably cooped up in the house smoking cigars or out on the patio or something. I know he going crazy because he always doing something. Or my best guess is he's been playing FIFA a lot. He thinks he's like the best FIFA gaming player ever. He might be for a football player, but he's not the best ever. I don't play FIFA. I don't play video games like that. But he swear down that he can play. Well, his gaming is probably like his real game of soccer, which isn't that great. So, but he claims like he's really nice. I know we did something in Bristol, Connecticut, probably like 4 years ago, and this clown went on social media, tweeted to have some guys come by the room to the hotel, some random dudes come by the room to play him in FIFA. No lie. These are some real random white boys came to the room and he was playing them in FIFA and soccer. And he swear down, he good.
He
He's
does
not.
that.
I guess he's decent, but he ain't that good. He's better than me. I'll say that. I'll be upfront. He's better than me in FIFA and video games. But outside of that, no, I got him.
All right, man. So before we get out here, we're gonna do some hip hop trivia real quick. It's more opinionated questions. It's from Got Bars, so we're gonna play this real quick, and I'm gonna have some. They're not questions; they're more like your opinion on things.
Okay.
So we're gonna start with the first action card, and it's who would you prefer, Biggie or Tupac?
Oh, god dang, dog. Woo, man, that's tough. Man, that's crazy, bro. Man, that's woo, boy. Man, bro, that's tough. That's tough. Cause I want to say Tupac, but then I'm like, man, you crazy. You got to go with Biggie.
Yeah.
It's crazy, man. Man, both of them nice, bro. I mean, I'm probably be wrong either way I go, but I mean, like I said, both of them are so nice, bro. Biggie had his style. Tupac had his style. Tupac kind of had that like that movement behind him. Like he was one of those guys that not only like was involved like he was more mindful of what was going on in the community. Like what I mean, he was like a presence in the hood. You know what I mean? So I would probably maybe uh, lean a little bit more toward Tupac than Biggie. But let me tell you something. Them suckers just like this, boy.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't go wrong either way. But yeah, I would say Tupac. And I was Tupac. He died the year which was my first year in the Bay Area, and where I used to go get my haircut. Some of the guys that were in the barbershop, like said, they were like he used to be in that area. I'm not saying that he used to go to that barbershop, but when I used to go in there and when all that stuff happened, like I said, it was just like the buzz was like, man, like he's from the town. He's like from Oakland, you know what I mean? I used to go get my haircut like in that Haywood area, what have you. So like that was a really eerie feeling around that time to know, like I said, Tupac was, like I said, everybody knew about Tupac. He was big at that time. But yeah, he was a guy that, like I said, that wanted to encourage change based on the history and how African Americans were being treated.
All right, so this is another good question right here between these two rappers, Jay-Z and Nas.
I go with Jay-Z. No knock on Nas.
Yeah.
Nas, yeah, but you gotta go Jay-Z with that.
Okay. Okay. So I got another one for you. What was the first hip hop album that you ever purchased?
Oh, hip hop that I ever purchased. It might have been. It might have been. It had to be the Tupac. It might have been the Tupac. No doubt.
Okay. Who is the current king of hip hop right now? Not naming Jay. Not naming Jay, because I know Jay gets.
Ken. Ooh, hip hop.
Yeah, right now.
Man, with Drake. With Drake factor into that.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I would have to go with Drake right now. I mean, it's consistency. Like there's a lot of guys out there. It's equivalent to like a football player and them, being elected or nominated for a Hall of Fame. Like what defines their greatness? I mean, for a receiver, for any athlete, it's about the consistency. And so for Drake, he's consistently been doing it. You know what I mean? It's like every album he puts out, like he's almost kind of like one upping himself, or like he always has some hits. So he's consistently, been on the rise. Like there hasn't been like a decline.
All right, last one. Name the best rap group ever.
The best rap group
Ever. Okay, I'm gonna throw some names out there. This may help it out a little bit. So we
huh?
got Outkast, UGK, NWA,
Okay.
Wu Tang, if you consider them a group, Bone
Okay.
Harmony, Ghetto Boy, Mobb Deep, Tribe Called Quest.
Woo. I'm about to go. I'm about to go with Outkast.
Okay.
I'm about to go with Outkast. Big Boy, uh, all those guys, man. Yeah. Yeah, I gotta go. Yeah, I gotta go. I gotta go with Outkast. Yeah,
All
and
right.
then living in Atlanta for a little stint. Yeah, man. Yeah, yeah. I just hearing some of the music in my head. Yeah, Outkast. They got down. They got
Man,
down. They did their thing.
well, everybody, we thank you for tuning in. So definitely subscribe to my guy T.O. and Matthew Hudson's channel. Be sure to subscribe, listen every Tuesday for those guys, man. Also, when Prototype 81 comes back out, we need you guys in the gear. I will be in the gear for sure. We're gonna represent for my guy T.O., man. T.O. dog, I appreciate you coming in. And just one more time, everything for everybody.
Oh yeah, no doubt, man. Get your popcorn ready podcast with T.O. and Hatch. As I said, go to the Himalaya app, subscribe, and then even when you subscribe, please share it with your friends, man, because sharing is caring. Go
There you
to our
go.
website again, subscribe. You're gonna see us, promoting it on our social media channels, whether it's Twitter, Instagram. When you see that, swipe up, and then again, that other S is share. Cause sharing is caring. That's how we do it, man. I appreciate you having me on the show, Chris. Hey, man, but you gotta you should have added another little trivia in there without bowling, but you already answered it though.
What is it?
Best bowler, Chris or T.O. But it's hands down me. We already know
There
that.
you go.
Get your game up, man. Get your game up, yo.
Man, look, man, I'll give it to you because we're friends, so I'm gonna give it to you on that.
Hey, man, you gotta do what your shirt say, man. Get to working, homeboy.
Man, you already know, man. I'm gonna get you a couple of shirts too, man. But yeah, man, definitely everybody subscribe to this guy, man. He's doing great things, man. This is one of my good friends. I tell you guys, this is how he is 24/7. This is how he is 24/7, man. That's serious.
Oh yeah, that's all good. Yeah, I got a bad rep, but it's all good. Also I got a documentary coming out too.
Okay.
I know if you go on my Instagram, I did it. I partnered with the Players Tribune. So again, we did a mini series with 8 athletes. I think if you go to my IGTV, you will see that mini docu series. I executive produced that with Players Tribune. We had such great feedback on kind of like my career, so we gave you a little snippet of that. But just had a meeting probably like a couple months ago with the Players Tribune about doing a bigger documentary, more lengthier one. So we've been in the process of exchanging emails to kind of see what the next steps are. So trust me, I got some. Trust me, the documentary is coming. So I got a lot of coaches, former teammates that have already agreed to help assist with the documentary. So definitely be on the lookout for that real soon. So like I said, once all this coronavirus juju is died down and we're back to normal life, and get back to a sense of normalcy, everything will resume, and we'll be getting back to that documentary. But yeah, definitely be on the lookout for that too.
Like I said, my man has all kind of stuff going for himself, man. I'm happy for him. Even though he's got more coming, we're gonna have everything in the description. Be sure to subscribe to the channel. I see people are subscribing to your channel now, so that's a dope thing, man. I appreciate all the fans for doing that. We're gonna do another one soon. We're gonna do another one soon.
Oh yeah, man. Hey, I told you, like I said, I'm down like 4 flat tires, bro. Like I said, I'm always, always in support of what we do, especially black people helping black people. I think I think as a country, as a whole, even just black people as a whole, that's something that we need to continue to strive and make better efforts in doing is helping each other out. That's the only way we're going to evolve as a culture, as a people, and really kind of how we can evolve together as within in this country. So I know you got a lot of things going on, so you've always been cool with me. You A1. So that I appreciate it. If I say I'm gonna do something, I'm gonna do it. You know what I mean? So that's always how I rock.
All right, so obviously you got all of us got to stay in the house. So my guy Byron wanted to ask you something. Shout out to Bemo on the North South Coast. You already know.
Yeah. What's up, B?
He wanted to ask you something real quick. He said you got 3 movies right now, sports movies, your all-time movies that you're gonna be watching.
Well, number one, I guess no brainer. I was in Any Given Sunday, which is produced by Oliver Stone, Bill Bellamy, LL Cool J, Al Pacino, Cameron Diaz, Jamie Foxx. There was a number of, like I said, these were they're A-listers now, but they were really A-listers then when I back in 99, 98, 99, when that movie came out. That's one of my that's my number one. And then I guess Remember the Titans. Obviously with is that with that Denzel?
Yeah.
Yeah, Denzel, and then I guess after that, Friday Night Lights, I would say. So yeah, Any Given Sunday, Remember the Titans, and Friday Night Lights. That's my top 3.
All right, man. Well, I'm getting threatened right now. My mom wants to say this. She says hi, and my aunt Linda is like your number 1 fan. Can you tell her hi, please?
What's up, Linda? And what's up, moms? Hey, moms, I'm sorry that I'm better than your son, Chris and Bolin. But you might, yeah, I mean, it's okay. Luckily that, everybody's, being quarantined right now. He has no excuse, no choice but to be inside the house. So he can't work on his game. But yeah, well, while he's in the house, he should at least be working on his trash talking, because that's not good either. So, I'm winning in both of those categories, trash talking and whooping him on the bowling lane. So I'm sorry, but hi.
Man, so everybody, we out. Hey, Theo, if you can, I'm gonna shut this down. Stay in real quick. I'm gonna shut it down. But everybody, we appreciate y'all. Subscribe to his channel. Subscribe to mine, but definitely subscribe to his. I see y'all doing it now. So keep it going. Share it.
Oh yeah, y'all shout me out. Shout y'all go to my Instagram. Like I said, all the people that are watching, I don't know how many viewers we have or who's watching or what have you, but I'm always, like I said, we ain't got nothing to do. Shout me out. Go to my Twitter and my Instagram. Send me some messages or whatever. Let me know you was on the show, what have you. We can chat back and forth or what have you. Like I said, I appreciate all the love from all the fans that, like I said, that have got to watch me play there in Dallas and watch me from afar with other teams. But like I said, man, I am who I am. Unapologetically. But like I said, my grandmother did a great job of raising me. So that's how I've been able to represent myself, keep my head held high, despite what people may have said and the perception of me. So all those shout outs and the kudos go to my mom and my grandmother. And so again, I appreciate all the love and the fan support that I've been getting, throughout the course of my career, and even when I since I've been done with football. So I appreciate it.
All right, y'all. We out, man. We appreciate y'all. We'll be back soon because I'm about to start talking noise now. So
oh yeah, you got to turn. You got to do something, man. Turn up, man. You got to turn your game up, man. Because right now, your game is in the gutter right now, homeboy.
Here we go. All right, now we out.